When I'm in the outdoors, I also take time to remember. About 4 years ago, my grandmother passed away, and when she passed away, a yellow monarch butterfly landed in my grandfather's garden. So ever since then, we've always kind of connected the yellow butterfly with my grandmother. When my grandfather passed away, shortly after my grandmother passed away, the black and brown butterflies kind of appeared a lot more frequently in my life. So we've always kind of connected the black and brown butterflies with my grandfather. And one time when I went hiking, we saw the yellow monarch just hanging out on a cactus, which we thought was pretty cool. And a few miles down the trail, we saw a black and brown butterfly that landed on my backpack, and my friend was like, "Hey, check it out." So I stuck my hand out, and it actually like crawled on my hand, and it stayed there for about 10 minutes, and it was really cool. It was a really good time to sit and kind of remember my grandparents, and that experience would have never happened if I never went outdoors. Another thing that I really do when I'm in the outdoors is I investigate. I can take the time to kind of, research or look at anything that really interests me. A good example of this is when I went on the hike with Jay and Stefan. We were walking and we kind of smelled a really strong pungent odor, and we were kind of like wondering what it was. And then Jay pointed out that it happened to be, barrier, and it was, it didn't smell very good, but it was kind of cool because we took the time to kind of sit there and smell it and kind of familiarize ourselves with it, and it was really neat that we got to kind of investigate that.
Any questions? There's also this huge component for me about finding my focus in the outdoors, and this has sort of developed over my life, but I've come up with a pretty good system, I think, at this point, and it's basically sort of this process of discovering new challenges in the outdoors, things that push my limits and really make me feel alive, and through the process of overcoming those challenges, I am able to really find focus that is otherwise missing from my life. So when you look at a lot of these pictures, it's pretty easy to see that I'm not exactly the kind of guy that fits in anywhere but the wilderness. It's become a huge part of who I am, and a large part, I think, defines me. I pretty much center my life around it. That's how I set my goals, and I've structured my life to be close to beautiful places that inspire me and keep me psyched on pushing forward and doing productive things. To that end, that's probably the biggest, the biggest and best, if you will, of the outdoors for me, is that I use it as my inspiration for most things. It really is what keeps me super psyched about life. And I'm really psyched about life, let me tell you. Without the outdoors and the things that I do in the outdoors, my life would be pretty boring. I'm sure I would find other things to do, but I can't imagine any other things that would provide the fulfillment that I get from a great experience outside in a beautiful place. Just interacting with the amazing system that is flourishing all around us. Any questions?
Beautiful. It's like you're made for that camera. Okay. So, I guess we're just going to kind of talk about some of the things that we had in common kind of with our outdoor experiences. So, kind of freestyle. We're going to go one take and hope it goes. We'll edit that one out. Okay, so AJ, what do you think is something that's important about the outdoors?
Well, I definitely think there's this whole piece of, it being a source of rejuvenation for a lot of people. I mean, there's this concept, I guess, of like, the modern world is always encroaching on you, and there's all these high stress, high pressure situations. Gotta get here, you gotta do this, yippee yappa, what have you. And I think the outdoors provides a great break from that, and an opportunity to be really honest with yourself, especially if you're alone.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. And I think one of the big things is like it gives people the ability to kind of disconnect. You know, you can turn the cell phone off. You can get away from the email. You can get away from whatever kind of bothering you. And it gives you that ability to kind of just, you know, take a step back and just like relax. I think
Totally.
Definitely being able to do that, something that not a lot of people have the opportunity to do. You know,
Yeah.
We're kind of getting away from the whole, you know, primitive aspect of going out into the wilderness and surviving.
Yeah, and that's another piece. I use the term disconnect, and I agree with that. But at the same time, I like to think of it as actually making a connection, sort of getting back in touch with a lot of your most basic human instincts and needs, instead of paying attention to all of the frivolous and sort of unnecessary things that plague us in normal life.
It's a good word.
Frivolous, I like that word.
I like that word too. Class.
Terrific word.
Look, AJ, the dictionary. Cool. What else, man? What else kind of stuff do you kind of think about when you're thinking about the outdoors?
Well, let's take a look.
Look at the list. There's the list.
Oh yeah. Well, I've definitely, we were talking about it being a great place to play, sort of being a playground. And in that same vein, I think I definitely made pretty much all of my best friends in the world by going out and having adventures with them in the outdoors. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I think it has a lot to do with just sort of the spontaneity and genuineness. Yeah, I guess that sort of just goes along with being outside, putting yourself out there, giving your all towards something, and sharing that with someone else. I think that somehow accelerates the friendship process. I'm not exactly sure how.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because like, if you think about it, like, I mean, as you guys are watching this in class, I feel like, you know, you and I become friends because of the outdoor experiences that we've had, you know, not only in this class, but, you know, going out and doing stuff. And you know, all the people that's in our class right now, you know, we've all had a big connection with everyone. And I think that it really was helped, kind of like, you know, those of us that went on the LNT weekend. You know, that was a really good experience. And, you know, I mean, it wasn't necessarily, you know, not out in the backcountry.
Right.
You know, it was kind of near and close, but, you know, that was just enough to prove that the outdoors brings people closer.
Well, Bill, I think you really hit it on the head when you were talking about experience, because I think that's really what it's all about. When you experience something, you learn it in a much different way than if you're just listening to someone else talk about what they've experienced. I mean, it makes sense to me, knowing you guys. But, you know, obviously, if you experience something yourself, it's going to be a lot more potent than taking someone else's secondhand experience and trying to turn that into a lesson for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to keep going. Let's just keep going with this. I want to do this. This is rolling.
Good.
You know, and I think too, you know, I was kind of telling everybody about, like, you know, the connections that I have with the outdoors, and, you know, just something as simple as, like, you know, a butterfly. You know, my grandparents passed away, and we kind of connect my grandparents with a butterfly. And, you know, that's stuff, you know, cool stuff you can get connections with through the outdoors. And I think that's, you know, like I said before, people don't have those experiences. You know, everyone's so worried about, you know, getting their degrees and you know, and working. It's just like people don't make time for having fun.
Totally. So, yeah. I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Do I keep my
struggling?
What do you think about like relaxing? Like, I feel like the outdoors really is just relaxing.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of a weird thing for me. I'm glad you brought that up. I think about that a lot because the things that I like to do in the outdoors, for all intents and purposes, aren't relaxing at all. I mean, they're all sort of intense, physically demanding kind of things. But at the same time, I definitely get a sense, I guess you would say, relaxation from them. Any questions?
Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our presentation. So,
the real question is, What does the outdoors mean to you?